Hello and welcome to another episode of the Villa Social. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson, joined once again by Matt Lynch. Matt, you're the only person here to retain your position from the first show. Welcome back.
I feel like I owe it you because I left halfway through last time.
You were actually supposed to be joined again by Neil Dunworth, who did join the call momentarily, but said, my child has been bitten by a cat. I mean, I've all the excuses to get out of an episode and may require a tetanus shot. So he literally joined and then left again. So hopefully Neil and his little ones are okay. We're joined by Sam from TrueAdventures. I know you as TrueAdventures as your social profile.
People say Sam from TrueAdventures, I think.
Yeah, okay. This is your Claret and Blue podcast debut. Welcome.
Yeah, delighted to be on one of my favourite Villa podcasts. So, I'm really happy to be here.
I bet you say that to all the podcasts.
I do, to be fair, yeah, sorry.
And there's a lot of them. I saw you in Dublin at the weekend with Neil. How was that? Is that good?
To be honest, I am still recovering from it. I thought I went to Lille on my first away day trip a couple of weeks ago, and that was like going on a stag do. And then I went to Dublin, and so I feel like I've been on two stag do's, and I thought I'd retired from stag do's, to be honest.
And Max, welcome back to the Claret podcast. Villa on Tour fame, of course. You've been on here once or twice before.
Yeah, seasoned pro I am. So, thanks for having me on, mate. Good to be back.
Today's agenda, we're going to talk about a few different bits and pieces, but I also asked each of you to come to the show and come to the table with a topic as well that we're going to bring up and chat about. Some of the account stuff we're going to touch over briefly. Jadon Sancho, Europa League bits and pieces, not for you, Matt, because you did it last episode. And we'll also touch on atmosphere a little bit, Sam, with your connections with the 1897 group as well. And I know, Max, you sat with them for the West Ham game as well. So we'll talk about those as well. Let's talk about the accounts. Villa have posted a profit, which is a rarity in football. So fair play to them for that. However, it does come with questions about the summer. Villa probably still needing to make player sales to keep the project alive, if you like, to keep things ticking. And those profits do come with sales to the warehouse and the women's team that we're not going to be able to do again. If they don't qualify for the Champions League, that complicates things as well. We've posted a profit with the PSR Premier League rules, but we'll have seen to have made a loss with UEFA because they don't count the women's team sale in their revenue account. So it's all very confusing. Sam, I'll start with you, who looks puzzled. How do you read the accounts?
The thing that I don't quite understand, and this is something that happens to me pretty much every year, is so it's like we are in our current year, right? And it's like a season, June to June. So we're in like our Europa League season, and it seems to be like, oh, you can sell someone at the end of June, and that kind of clears up the last year. Yeah. And then you tick over to the new year, and then everything resets, and you can do what you want. Yeah. And we're all very like, oh, if we get in the Champions League, we can do that. But obviously, we don't get that money until next year.
You're always like a year behind, aren't you, basically?
We're a year behind. So I do find it quite baffling, to be honest. And it's a difficult thing to do because, I think we were going to talk about transfers later, and we were going to talk about decisions that are made. And to be perfectly honest, I still struggle to find out what parameters the club are working in. And I think, to be honest, it changes all the time. Bloody sick of it. And I wish that we could talk more about football and the things that we love about football rather than PSR and SCR. And it's a shame Neil's kid got bitten by a cat, to be honest, because he's very good at this. He's all about SCR.
The kid.
And that cat, the kid. The kid. Yeah, he's right on it.
Even the things that you perceive or you expect to be good news often comes with a sucker punch of like, well, actually, it's not that good news. Selling Jacob Ramsey in the summer was, oh, well, that's good for PSR, no? And then the club are like, well, don't get too excited because we probably can't spend much of that. And it's like, well, what's the point of all this then? It's really irritating.
Yeah, it's confusing. Again, I'm not an expert. I know you've got to talk about it because you're on a Villa podcast, but I'd happily never hear another nonsense acronym ever again. It just sounds like, on the face of it, I've done my very basic understanding of it. I guess it's just Villa have got to be more creative. Obviously, selling the women's team and the warehouse is great. Just got to keep doing that, essentially, which is difficult because you've done the sort of creative things in the short term. It's like, how do you do that year on year? I don't know. I guess obviously qualifying for the Champions League helps big time. But obviously that's the football side, and how sustainable is that? I don't know. Unai Emery could leave next week. You never know. Villa have got to be more creative, and how that goes, we shall see.
Matt, bring us back to football. What's the one topic that you've brought to tonight's discussion?
It's Jadon Sancho. I think more broadly, obviously, we saw he got injured against Elche. Was it Friday last week they played? I think more what's heading with that is it seems that Jadon is that preferred choice now in the 11. We've seen Bailey come back and make zilch in terms of an impact. We've seen, obviously, the situation with Harvey Elliott. So it was a question of, if it is the case that Sancho is going to be out for some time, is it that McGinn gets deployed on that wing like we have seen in the past? Or is it the case actually Bailey does come back into the fold? But I've not seen anything yet to suggest so. So I think actually it's the case that Jadon Sancho has probably become quite a pivotal part of that first 11, I would say. So if it is the case that we're going to miss him for a couple of weeks, how do we fill that void?
It does feel like peak Villa, doesn't it? That I saw a few people suggest, like, what are we playing? We played loads of games. What are we playing this game for? We're getting a meaningless injury, but you can't go 3 weeks or nearly 3 weeks without playing a game. All clubs will have these behind closed doors games. It's annoying for Villa that it was publicised by them and this injury happens, because then they have to share it because people know it's happened. But this could have happened in training. It could be an innocuous thing, right? And it's a week or two and he's fine and he doesn't miss any football. It is the perfect outcome, and players get knocks in training all the time that you probably don't hear about. So hopefully it's not one that leads to panic. But if he was to be missing for a period of time, then it does create questions, because he's been, one of the best players of the last few weeks, Max, but he's shown signs that he's probably the best option out there on the right side.
Yeah, he has, and it's a really weird break at the moment, isn't it? Because it kind of feels like, Villa should be back this weekend. We've had the sort of torture of watching the England games, which weren't great. But yeah, I'm just hoping that injury that he picked up in that game against Elche is just like a really sore bang on the shoulder, and it's not dislocated or broken or anything like that. We shall see. I guess sort of news on that will come out maybe next week in the lead up to Bologna. He's a weird one, Sancho. I'm a massive fan of him. I am, and I was excited when he came in. I don't know. I think I'm ever the optimist. So I just want to see it. I know he's got it because he's shown it on the biggest stage for Dortmund. I just want to see it. I just want him to believe in himself a little bit more. The Lille at home game, the second leg of the Lille fixtures, I was watching him and thinking, what is he doing at times? Like, he's doing some really, really terrible, brainless things, like running out of play on the touchline. But then he'll do something brilliant as well. And it's just like, we know he's got it. I just want to see it. I guess that comes with playing regularly and having that spot in the first team regularly and playing 90 minutes and that confidence that playing a good side brings. And we haven't been good for months. So hopefully now we pick up a little bit, and that sort of coincides with his form picking up. But I know there is something there. It's annoying that we're talking about this sort of with seven games to go or whatever it is. I just wish we were talking about this sort of the turn of the year, January sort of time. I know he was good at Fenerbahce in January, but he never really properly kicked on. There's a separate conversation to be had about what we do in the summer, whether he wants to come or whether we look at that. I don't know. I think it'll be a difficult deal. Talks about the finances, his wages. I know he's out of contract, but he'll be looking for something decent wages somewhere. Whether Dortmund can offer that, probably not. We know Villa pay good wages, so we'll see. It's a conversation to be had, but just want to see more from him, I think.
Yeah, it's a conversation to be had in the next few minutes, because that was the next question on the agenda. So fair play, Max. Sam, are you a medical man? How do you assess that shoulder injury?
Well, we're waiting for the dreaded Villa scan, aren't we? I think we need to get a new scanner. I hate these. We're just waiting on a scan. Like, that's never good, man. It's never good, these bloody scans. But as Max said, I'm a big fan of him. The thing that I really like about him is that he doesn't lose the ball. You know, he seems to handle the ball so well in attacking areas. And over the past, 2 months, we've had basically our whole forward line just giving up the ball, haven't we? Watkins was giving up the ball, and Bailey's running into blind alleys, and Rodgers is obviously a player that loses the ball a lot because he's always trying to do something. So I always found Sancho's presence quite relaxing, because I was quite like, I don't think he's going to lose the ball. He always kind of does something pretty simple with it. And then in the past couple of weeks, he started to produce that end product. Apparently, Emery and the whole team have just been sitting him down like Clockwork Orange, you know, showing him footage of himself and how brilliant he is, and going, see, that was really good.
That was you.
That was you, that is, yeah. And I think it's been percolating very slowly, as Max said, and it's finally happening. And those conversations about us having him in the summer were just beginning, weren't they, over the past couple of weeks? People going, you know what? I think he's pretty good. And we were on the verge of another Emery rehabilitation, weren't we? So, like you said, hopefully it's nothing, and he could be a big player for us in the Europa League, in the run-in. You know, we're at that stage of the season where we don't need players to do loads of good stuff. Even if he does 2 or 3 moments,
3 or 4 good games, he's going to have a decent say in whatever happens, right?
Yeah, that could be us, you know. So Yeah, it's a shame, but hopefully it's nothing.
Just as you mentioned there, we've done a lot of chat about parenting on the podcast over the last week or so. I mean, you can probably tell it's international break, but that idea of showing Jadon Sancho videos of himself, I did that with my son a few months ago because he kept saying like he'd come back and I'm going to eat my tea and I'm going to eat this, blah, blah, blah. So I filmed a video of him saying like, oh, I'm going to eat my broccoli tonight. And then when it came to it and he didn't eat it, I'd be like, look, this was you earlier saying I was going to eat it. Look at that. You said you're going to eat it. And it didn't work.
The thing about kids is they don't care. He'll just watch it and go,
care.
Don't care.
That's not me. Okay, let's go around the table then. Matt Lynch, should we or would you sign Jadon Sancho for Villa next season?
The head says no. The heart says yes, because I think Emery can work wonders with him, as we've already seen. It's easy to forget he's only 25, and I'm rambling on slightly here, but the thing is the discourse around Jadon Sancho. I've never seen heat around a player like it in terms of a Villa player, more so than Rashford last season. It's incredible the amount of heat that his name gets from fans other than Aston Villa. It's not Villa fans that are causing that heat. We know full well that. But I've never seen discourse like it in terms of like the people that are suggesting that he's not good enough for any sort of level. But I think we've seen otherwise, absolutely. And I think Emery will get the best from him. So just the first point there, the discourse is outstanding. I can't believe the hate and truth that he gets overall. When it comes to actually the figures, when you look at it, the head says, no, it doesn't make any sense for us. He's not the right sort of fees that we're going to be looking at with him is going to be crazy from a sign-on perspective. And I think that you and John possibly had the conversation on the mailbag about the idea of if you had the option of Wilson or Sancho in the summer, where would you hedge your bets? And you probably hedge your bets on Wilson, to be honest, just because he's a bit more of a versatile player. Granted, he's had a very good season as well. But from a versatility standpoint, that's probably where my head would be at, is if you're Unai on the table, you've got those two players this summer, you're probably going to hedge your bets on Harry Wilson than you are on Sancho, to be honest. And as much as it's been a joy to watch him and take on players and stuff, in truth, if you drill down to the numbers, we've not seen the best of him. Probably part of that's down to Emery not trusted him for a full game for some time. And to be fair, we still haven't seen him probably play a full game either. So a long way around about saying it, but no.
Okay. Max?
Probably not, but I think I'd love to know where his head's at and sort of what he's thinking. And what he tells Emery is one thing, but deep down, like, what does he see for himself over the next, like you say, he's still young, what, 25? So
26 last week, just to correct you.
Okay, so he's getting on a bit now. No, but over the next 5 years, right at his peak, like, what does he really see for himself? But short answer, probably not. I'd love, I know Harry Wilson isn't this either, but I'd love pace in the team. Like, I was a big fan of Diaby. I really liked him, and I think he was the only player to play every game in that season. We got Champions League, Diaby was, but sometimes I'm sad enough to go and watch, like, I think there's a video on YouTube of like every Villa goal from that season. He's involved in everything, and just his, like, I know he wasn't brilliant for the whole of that season, but he was involved in a hell of a lot, and his pace and his trickery and his quick thinking. I'd really love a play like that again. Just Sancho isn't that. He's not the quickest. I'd love him to just take a player on, have that confidence. And is he a little bit safe potentially? But
confidence,
yeah, potentially. But do we have time for that if we're going to be in the Champions League? Not really. I think there's it's not up to me to go and find them, but I think there's better options out there.
Oh yeah, I think that you've convinced me, you two. I think I was probably starting on the side of no, we could do.
If he scores in the Europa League final, lifetime contract.
Exactly. I think the number one thing is he's on a wedge, isn't he? And we can't afford that. So the first thing he would have to do is I'd say halve his wages. I can't. I think Tammy Abraham's the only player I've heard of in years that's actually taken a significant pay cut to force a big move. If I was advising Jadon Sancho, I would advise him to stay at Villa. I think it's a good place for him. He's got a good manager. I think it's a good level for him. He's still got what football players are like, I should be at Real Madrid and I should be here and I should be doing this. It's like, there's still time for you to do that. If you can stay at Villa and make something of yourself again, rebuild your career. You've tried going to Man United and you've tried all this and it's not worked for you. So if it's working for you at Villa, if he has a really good end to the season, my advice to him would be maybe you should stay at Villa. With the resources that we've got, he is going to take up a big chunk of those resources, and the numbers he's put up, football, it's all about numbers. That's what Emery's been saying to McGinn, isn't it? We need your numbers up. And I think I was hoping, just like I think Max said earlier, those numbers would start to appear January, February, and not in April, the start of April, But there's glimpses, aren't there? Like that goal in the Europa League, the goal he set up for McGinn. That was like, I was like, there he is. He's there.
Yeah.
He's there. But I think we've waited a bit too long for it, unfortunately. And if he turns around and says, you know what, I love Villa, I love being here, I'll take a massive pay cut and I'll take 70 grand a week or whatever the standard wage for a winger at Villa is, then at that point I think I'd take him. But he probably won't. He'll probably go to like Saudi or something money and keep a big load of money. So unfortunately, I think that's the way it's going to go. But it's a shame because there's something there, isn't there?
Yeah, I agree with all of you, and it's a shame from a balance perspective that none of us have said, no, I would sign him because he's got this and he's got that, and the fact that we've all sided on the same side probably tells you more than you need to know. I think if it was as simple as the finances that his deal is going to be 80, 90 grand in line with every other player, then you go, okay, well, roll the dice. He's 26, 3 or 4 year contract. Let's see what happens there. It's relatively low risk, but a big wage, a big signing on fee, a big agent fee. All of a sudden it becomes a really expensive package for a player that hasn't really done it over the course of a season. Like he's had moments, but Newcastle away, Fenerbahce, a couple of others, like it's not enough to be putting up a massive financial package. I feel like there's probably better out there, but it'll need smarter people than me and you, Max, to go and find those. And I only say you because you said before you. Sorry.
Yeah, in a hole there, mate. Which we haven't really covered ourselves in glory, have we? When we've tried in this situation to recruit well, so that definitely needs to be improved. We'll see what happens there.
What do we all think? I'll start with you this time, Sam, and go round. What do we all think is the biggest thing that this squad needs? Max mentioned pace before, and it feels like that's a word on a lot of people's lips as well.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I'm similar to Max. I'm also watching DRB videos. And, he's the last real bit of electric pace. I must be mistaken. I thought Sancho was supposed to have this kind of pace. And when he came in, I thought it was like, he's just not fit yet. But that pace kind of hasn't really appeared. And that is the thing. I don't think we scare teams enough on the break, do we? We're not scary on the break. I think probably Maatsen. Is Maatsen probably one of the fastest players we've got? It's very difficult for Villa because I think then it has to come with depth, doesn't it? Because we've seen over the past month that the depth isn't there in midfield. But I mean, as a bit of a perfect storm to lose all three of them. But yeah, I mean, maybe we're going to need, it looks like half a season of a Kamara kind of player, doesn't it? Yeah, I find it very difficult about upgrades because I'm very I love all the players that we have. I'm not the kind of person that goes, I hate him. I'm willing them all to get better. And I suppose youth is the thing, isn't it? That's our problem.
You're telling me you don't go around calling him Wally Flopkins like the YouTube comments, etc.
Is that what people say?
Like that.
Yeah. It's quite a good slander name, to be fair, but not very nice, is it? Matt, anything that Villa need to add? What's the biggest thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'll still steer away from pace, and it'd be very easy to look at our squad based on the fact Emery fielded his oldest squad to date since being at the club and say youth, but I think it probably is, and we know that comes at a cost and a premium. So I think it's a good blend of that youth that needs to come in during the summer. I don't necessarily mean 18-year-olds, but I mean players that are approaching their peak. We're probably one of the outliers, to be fair, in the division when it comes to recent signings where it's come to that. A lot of clubs are hedging their bets on younger players that make them a bit more premium or less so, and that's across the board, whether that's Arsenal, Manchester City, Man United, through to Bournemouth and Brentford and Wolves, even to a degree, in terms of they're all hedging their bets on a younger profile of player. Just throwing a name at here as an example, but Matthias Mane is not going to be at Wolverhampton next season. Not a prayer. Why not is my question mark there, for example. But that's the sort of market for me we should be looking a lot more into. You look at, obviously, we brought in Alisson over the January window, and Bournemouth also brought Kevin in. Fulham brought Kevin in, didn't they?
Max, you obviously mentioned pace. Just get that kicked off. Is there anything else?
A right back, because I think we can't. I know Emery loves this sort of centre back at right back thing, and I do think we've got the players to do that. Obviously, Lindelof has done that this season. Cons has done it previously as well. So what he's thinking there is, I'm unsure. But I think if we're going into, fingers crossed, a Champions League season, I think we need to be stronger in that area. But yeah, hopefully Alisson can be that player. But he's been fit for about a week, hasn't he, since he's come in 3 months ago. So maybe he needs a pre-season under his belt, sort of, I don't know, learn the language if he doesn't speak English very well, just become a little bit more accustomed to where he is. But pace, trickery, someone to get me off my seat a little bit. And I know that's quite easy to say because of what we've had to watch for the last 2 or 3 months where it has been stodgy and we can't seem to shoot. So I think I just want to a little bit of excitement, maybe someone like a Harvey Elliott, someone like that, youth creativity, can look for a pass, plays too quick. I don't know, it's a bizarre one. But yes, something like that, I'd say.
Is that style of player, though, does that fit the Emery way, Max? Somebody to be quick and play fast and get bums off seats?
Clearly not, I guess. And apart from Diaby, we haven't really signed anyone like that again, apart from Alisson. But that's I don't think that's a short-term, quick-thinking kind of thing, is it? So, not really. Like Sancho, like you said, he's safe playing at backwards, controlling the ball. I think that's just an opportunity sort of thing. Yeah. Available. We need to sort of go well in the Champions League here and go all out. So, on the face of it, not really. Otherwise, we inevitably would have signed one by now.
Max, we'll stay with you. What topic do you want to discuss? What do you want to bring to the table?
Oh, goodness. Well, you asked me this earlier on WhatsApp.
And I know your answer.
Yeah, I've responded very quick as well. If you went into a pub, Villa away day, what's your sort of ideal 5 or 6 beers? Like, what a lineup that is.
It's a great question. Something a little bit different. Sam, you've had a heavy weekend in Dublin. What would you like to see on the bar?
Well, I'm off the Guinness for a bit, that's for sure. I'm a bit of a craft beer, so I'll try the. Actually, do you know what? I'm not. I just drink IPAs. That's all it is. I've tried all the others, and they're all horrible. And IPA is the only one that I really like. I think everyone else is just pretending to like all those other beers. I like IPAs. I think if you're on a European away day, you want like a local light pilsner. That's what I'd be going for. A proper local pilsner. Preferably one that gives you that headache behind the eye, the behind the eye headache. Max is the one that knows, really. He's got his six
ready to go.
I've made a list. I have, I've made a list. I'm ready to go. Right. So this is
just hand it over to you, Matt. I like a Guinness. I don't really care about the rest.
Yeah. So obviously, my go-to at the moment is a Guinness. I'll have a Guinness, right? Yeah, I'll also like an Estrella, nice Spanish sunny flair to the lineup. Asahi, nice and dry. Yeah. I'd have that. There's a couple of boozers in town actually in Birmingham that do Purity on draft, and I think that's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Didn't they used to have Purity at Villa? Is that gone by?
That was top of my list. Yeah, I was going to say Purity was going to be top of my list as well.
Unfortunately, I think they've been taken over by a different brewery. Obviously, they still go by Purity, but unfortunately, I think they've been taken over. And some sort of German Pilsner. I think the Colmore in Birmingham is phenomenal for it. So yeah, something quirky. But yeah, wherever you go on a European trip, try something local. Like when we've had the games in Bruges, oh my word, some of the beers there are like an 11% chocolate beer. Go on then, why not? You just got to try things.
Okay, nice. Glad to see you didn't really think about that one much at all. Matthew Lynch, anything to add?
I've taken it seriously and put a bit of a short list down. If we're going like mainstreams and like you'd hope to see it, maybe a Budvar. It's pretty solid, a bit underrated as a drop if you're going for a bit of a session. Otherwise, probably a Purity. I think Max is spot on there. Mad Goose. That's a pretty solid sort of pale if you want a bit of pale ale. But I must admit, I'm a bit of an IPA, some pale ale snob these days. And I had a pint of, Moretti on draft the other weekend, and my taste buds didn't quite recognise it, to be honest. I was like, what is this?
I don't mind
so it'd probably be the IPAs and the pales, but Purity tops it. And then there's one called Hepcat, which is made by a brewery down in London, which is, again, a bit niche, but yeah, that's a pretty good one as well. So I'd hope for nicheness, to be honest. But, for where you're going to turn up and it's going to be Carlsberg, Carlin, Madry, and throw in like a Strongbow, and then you're probably looking at your average boozer these days, to be honest.
Years ago, I went to the San Siro on my stag do. Actually, I went to the San Siro, and outside they were selling cans of Tennant Super.
Really?
Whoa!
Wow!
And we were like, "What?"
Did you watch a game while you were there?
Yeah, I watched a game. In fact, it was great. I was like, it wasn't a great game, but it was an amazing stadium. And I went and sat quite low down so that I could look up at the stadium. And you can drink in the stands and you can smoke in the stands. Not that is a good thing to do. But I was sat there and like suddenly this bloke behind me goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Like effing and blinding behind me at the referee. And I turned around and I was like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a QPR fan, mate." I was like, spent the rest of the game chatting to this QPR fan, but a magnificent stadium. I mean, what a crime that they're going to knock it down.
Terrible.
Did you go to the toilet in the San Siro, by the way, Sam?
Oh, God, I don't know. Have I blocked
What
it
a
out?
question that is, by the way.
I'll get there.
Is it worse than the North Stand?
Oh, I've never seen anything like it. It was absolutely terrible. It's literally just a hole in the floor. And like we got in there quite early and it was already just an absolute mess. People smoking in there, rammed, really small. Like you're thinking, what, 85,000 seater stadium, 4 holes in the floor for one stand. That's what you got to go for. It was horrendous. Absolutely awful. Fenerbahce was like that as well, if anybody can relate to that. But yeah, not good.
4 holes in the floor. Might try and get that into the title somehow.
Yeah, put it in the thumbnail as well. That's the thumbnail.
Let's go back to Villa, shall we? Matt, you and I did the first episode of this where I asked you all how Villa will get on in the Europa League and whether we'll finish in the top 5 or not. Let's dive into Sam and Max's opinions then for those 2 categories. We'll start with you, Sam. How do Villa fare in the remainder of the Europa League? Obviously, that's the first game back. Bologna away next Thursday. Will that be it? Or are we going all the way?
I had down at the start of the season that we would, I think, get to the semis or the final just based on our squad, our manager. You know, I think that's a bare minimum really in the Europa League, and I think anything less than that is really disappointing. And then I think, like a lot of tournaments, when you get to the semi-finals and you get to the final, sometimes you're at the mercy of things that you can't control. Red cards, ridiculous goals, ridiculous decisions, freak occurrences. You know, things can happen. You know, it's not always about the best team winning the tournament. The best team doesn't always win the tournament, and weird stuff can happen. So I think all you can say is, I think we're going to get to the last 4, if not the last 2. And then who knows? What I've been looking for and what a lot of Villa fans have been looking for from Villa this season is when we get to those moments, we need to be the instigators. We need to be the ones that say, you know what, we've been to a semi-final before. We've been to a Champions League quarter-final. We've been to an FA Cup final. They didn't go our way. We need to use that experience now and get over the line. And one of the advantages of the fact that Villa haven't been able to change their team very much over the past few years is that we have a team that's been, you know, on a journey together. And I would love it if they kind of said, you know what, we've been through a lot together, this team. Let's get over the line together. Yeah, you know, when we were at Wembley last year in the semi-final, we came away just thinking we didn't turn up. I've been looking for Villa, and during that big winning run, I did see it. I was looking for resilience, which was when you're in a tough place, when you're a goal down, when things aren't going your way, you still come away with the victory. And I was really pleased with that resilience. Obviously, over the past few weeks, it's gone a bit awry, but that's with the injuries. So I'm looking for Villa to get there, get to the line, and then I want them to get over the line. In fact, I'm absolutely desperate to get over the line, you know, probably like all of us.
How's your son, Neil?
It's all good. He's made of hard stuff. Yeah.
Good.
We're having cat for dinner tomorrow, though.
Are you going to see us lift that trophy in Istanbul, Max?
Yes, it's going to happen.
That's what we like to hear.
It kind of feels to me that in the Europa League this season we haven't really shifted out of third gear. Like especially the home games in the sort of group phase, they're all pretty much the same. Much for muchness didn't get out of even second gear in them. It's difficult. Obviously, we kind of know what we knew what we were gonna get with Lille. I know they're a different size as to what they were a couple of years ago, but been there, done that, played in that stadium, little things like that. Played Bologna previously, fancy us to beat them. The next round's really interesting. Porto or Forest. I was speaking to a Man City fan at work, really odd, from Kent, works in Coventry, supports Man City. He's not one of these glory hunters. He's been a fan since the 60s. So he's proper Man City. He goes home and away, goes to the World Cups and stuff. And he was saying he truly hates playing other English teams in European competition. And I spoke to him about when Man City played Liverpool. I think it was when Salah was like on another planet in like 2018 or 19, whatever it was. He absolutely hates it. So I think people will lean towards, I want Forest, you know, Porto are top of their league. I just had a look and they're 7 points clear at the top and Sporting have got a game in hand behind them. I think it's a really interesting one the next round. And then, like Sam said, the final, literally anything could happen. It's definitely more of a 50-50. So I fancy us. I just love it. I absolutely love it. I think the first year in Europe in the Conference League, we were kind of deer in the headlights. Second year, it was like, Christ, we're in the Champions League here. And obviously we're not going to win that. But I think this year it's kind of made for us. It's proper set up. We've got the experiences now. This group has been together for a while now, playing in Europe. Got the manager for it. We're nearly there. We can kind of smell it. I'm absolutely desperate for it. Really desperate. Can
I ask you a question, peeking behind the curtain a little bit, and you might not want to say? Have you thought about what that looks like from a video perspective, the content side of it? How do you cover something like Villa in a final? Obviously we've been to finals in your lifetime, I'm sure. We've never won one. We've not won one I was 4 or 5 months old, Matt. I don't think you were born. Neil and Sam, you would have been. Villa in a final, Villa winning something. I can't even compute what that looks like. And obviously we have to cover these things. And I've already had to start to think about, well, if Villa get there and they do it and there's a parade, how does all that work? Have you thought about that?
I don't think you can plan for what it's going to look like as the final whistle goes. And if/when we do win something, I don't think you can plan for that. That's just going to be off the scale. What I have done though at work is I've booked the whole week off. For the final. So obviously I could get some of the annual leave back, to be fair, if we don't make it. So every cloud, whether we'll go out there early, maybe do a bit of content sort of outside the stadium, building up to it. But I think sort of that whole match day in the game, I ain't got a clue how that's going to go. I mean, let's just get there first. Deciding when to say this, I've got a folder of songs. So I've got a sort of subscription to a site that's got loads of songs, copyright free, whatever. I've got a folder, and the folder's called Trophy Wins, because it's like proper dramatic, inspirational music. So hopefully I'll be able to use one of them songs. Fingers crossed.
Dan's currently building his business case to Kendrick to get himself out to Istanbul.
Is that for the teeth or the
hair? That's why I booked the week off. I'm getting tired.
Neil,
guys, just to let you know, you can get hotels for €148 if you want to be if you really are confident. You know, I'm just looking it up.
We've
here.
already booked ours. Yeah,
free cancellation. Yours, yeah,
free cancellation. Yeah.
We'll come back to the top 5 race in a second, gents. Neil, you're back now. What topic did you want to bring to the table, just in case there's another animal-based accident and you need to leave again?
There won't be. Obviously, look, we've got a lot of players out on loan at the moment. We've got the likes of Barnechea, we've got the likes of Lewis Dobbin, we've got all those guys off. And I would imagine they will be sold come the end of this year. And we'll bring in quite a bit of money from those guys. But if we are, the accounts were released yesterday I think it was. And if we are kind of hamstrung, do you guys kind of want to go down the same route that we've done the last 2 years of bringing in loan players to try and supplement for today? Or are we probably at the place where we need to freshen it up with young players and we need to bring in, and I know probably the answer is 50-50. Are the club ever really going to trust the likes of Bradley Burrows, Ben Broggio, all those guys that are out on loan? Because if they do, it's a surefire way to plug a massive PSR hole.
Is that why our squad isn't full of young players? Because we're kind of living season to season at the moment. Is that really the reason? Is because we're like, we haven't got time to, they've talked about it, haven't they? Win now. We're on a win now kind of thing. Is that because we need to win while Emery's here, or do we just need to do it now? And that's why it's, we'll just get Asensio right now, plug the gap. We'll get Rashford. We'll get Sancho. And so we're not really planning ahead in terms of like blooding young players. But Neil is exactly right. Those young players, if one of them turns out to be amazing, that saves us 50 million, doesn't it, really?
That's kind of my thought process. So, like, I can understand the Rashford and Asensio last year, and I can understand the loan signings this year. Obviously, Rashford and Asensio, we were a bad refereeing decision and a goalkeeper going AWOL away from getting into the Champions League 2 years in a row, and then we wouldn't be having the conversation this year. But with the fragility, I suppose, there kind of needs to be a situation whereby we have to trust one of the kids to see if they can turn out to be a Jacob Ramsey even. Somebody can come into the team, or even a Cameron Archer, somebody who can come into the team, show a lot of promise, and maybe we send him next year, but we get the benefit of him this year, or this coming year. Like Brad Burrows can't stop scoring at his age group at the moment, and he's capped at the international level. I just wonder, is there somebody? I'm not saying that they're going to come in and be a regular starter, but is there somebody that can come in and can take Leon Bailey's minutes, can take Emi Buendia's minutes, can take Lamar Bogart's minutes at right back, and I'm alluding to specific players when I talk about that, but I think it's probably time the club has one or two of those, or trusts one or two of those to come in there. But it's very easy for me to say that 700, 800 miles away from here, the guys will know, I suppose, in the training ground.
We'd all love it, wouldn't we? Of course we would, to see one of our own come through and actually make an impact. I think it's quite tough because we're at such a high level now. Like if we were sort of 5-6 years ago, we just got promoted, we were sort of floating around 13th, 14th. I think you probably would have more license to play one of these guys. But I think because it's such fine margins now, and we can't mess about every single season. We can't mess about now. Have to get Champions League. It's so tough now. But obviously, I'd love it. I'd like the look of Tristan Rowe as well. I think he played quite a lot of pre-season games in the summer just gone, loaned out. I can't remember the name of the team, second division French team he's at now, but he's doing quite well. Quick, athletic, didn't look out of place in pre-season. I know you can't sort of compare that to playing a proper senior Premier League game, I know, but obviously we'd all like to see it. But obviously, like you said, Neil, the answer is probably 50-50, where with modern day football, we're operating as a big club. You probably do need to use players as pawns, unfortunately. So yeah, we shall see.
I just think it's interesting because we have these high hopes of these youth players, but you look at the list of players that have made it into that first team setup, and pretty much the club's got it spot on over the last probably 10 years, it's fair to say, with most of those decisions. There's outliers to that rule, but it's easy to forget when we're looking at these players as well. Ben Broggio's just turned 19, Rose 18 at that end of it, and then you've got players like Louis Barry, Josh Feeney, who are, I think, or is it Tommy O'Reilly? One of those. Tommy O'Reilly's 22, or Feeney is one of those two, one of them 20. Feeney, by the way, seems to have had a very good year, and by all means, O'Reilly has as well. So seemingly there might be potential there from being sort of cash assets, if you will. But it's very easy, I think, to look at it and go, "Oh, these youth players should be getting minutes, etc., etc." But when you look at the age of some of these, that Max Damon's an outlier to the rule by any means. Ingamoa at Liverpool as well. So I think it takes a very special player to break into any Premier League team at the sort of ages that we're talking about, abandoned about here. And to Emery's credit, he's given players minutes this season. However, what I find interesting is that at the start of the season, Burrows was very much in the fold. Hemmings was just before that. Then Hemmings had his patch where he was sort of in and around the first team, got some minutes. Jimo Aloba did just before going out on loan as well. There's a string of these players that clearly Emery has got trust and sort of can see a future pathway for. But it's interesting how they've all had sort of drip-fed moments this season and then either been put out on loan or haven't really seen them since, to be honest, which perhaps that's a protection piece more than anything else from Emery. But it's clear that he'll push that youth into the team. But I think it is all about patience. And once one comes out of the blocks, then perhaps we'll see more. Man City are a case in point there in terms of how they've managed their youth in recent years.
That's a good point, Matt, as well, because that was kind of my rebuttal, I think, to an awful lot of my own internal thoughts were that, show me the team outside of Arsenal in the Premier League that's creating or producing all these wonderful underage players that get into their first team squad. There's a lot of teams that are buying in young players into their squads, absolutely, but there's very few of them that are creating them out of whole cloth, and Villa are probably the closest to doing this. And when I talk about buying players in, like I class Lamar Bogart as an academy graduate. He's been with the club for 4 or 5 years now, and he's breaking into the team. And I think it's it's the team that it's once again, all you have to do is look at the class of '92. It's those teams that do catch lightning in a bottle with 3 or 4 good players from the same setup. They just have a measurable advantage. But it's obviously knowing who's going to make the step up and who isn't. And as you said, Matt, the club have gotten it right so far, like Cameron Archer, Aaron Ramsey, to a lesser extent Jacob Ramsey. They've gotten it right in who they've sold so far. It's just, I suppose, about getting right with who they're going to promote, I think.
Players that come through with hype from the fan base of, oh, this guy looks really good, and then 3 or 4 years later, you never hear of them again. And was that because they weren't given a chance? I don't know, difficult to say. I remember
a player that Arian Reiki, remember him?
He just playing non-league now.
He's playing non-league now, and he moved to Leicester. And in fairness, fans are well entitled to say this. They're like, he was really good for Villa when he came in. He could spot a pass. He was a nice little metronome at the base of a midfield diamond, or even as a 6. He's second or third non-league team now. So Brad Young, another guy, and we were all going, he shot the lights out for that for our underage teams. And then he went to Barry. Was it I can't remember, New Saints. Then he went to Saudi. And I don't even know where he is now.
I think some of it's wishful thinking as well from fans, isn't it? Because we really want that. That's something we're desperate for. Like Louis Barry, I mean, it's been going on for years now, hasn't it? Why isn't he getting minutes? Well, he's probably not that good, which is a shame. I wish he was. That'd be great. But my personal bugbear, aside from the thing that bothers me most about PSR is clubs being encouraged to cash in on homegrown players. I think that's the most counterproductive thing, because if I was inventing PSR, I'd be like, we don't like this. Oh, well, I'd be like, well, play your youth players then. That's great. And I think any youth player that plays in the first team, that should give you like a discount on your PSR. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you've blooded all these players. You're playing youth players, not like selling youth players. You know what? Newcastle selling Anderson, Villa selling Ramsey. It's silly. It's not. It's like, who thought that was a good idea, or who hasn't closed that loophole yet? We should be encouraging teams to give young players a chance. Isn't that what we want?
I think the structure of the way academy football is specifically for Villa is interesting. I remember Christian Perso years ago talking about, is it under 23s now, under 21s, that like the players in the under 21s should be 17 and the under 16s or whatever it is, under 18s should be 16. You should always be like ahead of the curve. The players that are already 22 in the under 21s, they ain't going to make it. They're not good enough already. Forget about them. You need to be much younger, playing at a higher level. Villa don't really seem to be able to do either with their youth players at the moment, blood them or sell them. We're not going to see, I don't think, a youth team player break through and play consistently in the first team because, as Max says, the margin for error is so small, but then we're not giving them enough time to sell them for big bucks either. Sending whoever to the Championship for a season, they do okay. Kane Hayden, for example, what did we get for him? Like 2 million or something? Whoop-de-doo. What's that going to do for us? Nothing really. So, okay, fair enough. But we're not going to bring somebody in who is all of a sudden worth 40 million, and we go, okay, well, he's not played for Villa, but he's bought in a big chunk of cash. I don't think Villa can do either thing at the moment.
No, it was all kind of born out of big conversations yesterday. Financial accounts came out. Villa are going to have to sell someone. Everyone's like, oh, that's Morgan Rogers gone. And you're like, well, maybe it isn't, because there is deadwood at the club. Much and all as I don't like calling any player that's currently here and we need to for the next 7 games, deadwood. But like Leon Bailey for me is somebody who will not and cannot be at this club before to progress next year. Barnett ain't coming back. And like for me, probably the worst bit of business I think Villa have done is allowing Enzo Barnett to go to Benfica with a 12 million loan clause. Like I think that on the face of it, everybody talks about Monchi getting the boot potentially for Harvey Barnes or Harvey Elliott. I think it's that deal alone. I think that is just like stonewall lunacy to let a player of that quality go. You've also got players that are up and down, like Gassand, I would imagine, is going to have his loan triggered. You're going to have Daniel Mallon, who's going to have his loan triggered. So a lot of that money is going to come back to the club. Now, obviously, you have to divide that by 3 because of the PSR or the UEFA rules, all that kind of stuff. But it was more so the likes of, Lewis Dobbin and those guys that I think might surprise us. They might surprise us in what they come in, what some club comes in for him for. Because like Preston, he's 28 or 9 games played this year. He's 7 goals scored in the Championship. I think somebody will drop a surprising amount of money, somewhere between maybe 5 to 8 million on him, and he's staying at the Championship level. Now, again, we only just about break even, but like, who's going to be the next one of those guys that comes up through the ranks? I think as well. It's going to be interesting to see.
I just hope it's Spurs that are coming in for Lewis Dobbin to help fire the Championship season when they go down.
Let's talk about the 1897 group. I'll start with you, Sam. Do you want to discuss, firstly, for those that don't know, what it is and your involvement with it, for want of a better word?
Yeah, so the 1897 group is basically a group of Villa fans who want to improve the atmosphere at Villa Park. And for the past, I'd say 3 years, I think they started around the similar time that Emery did. And for the past 3 years, behind the scenes, they've been doing pretty much the dog's work, trying to build a relationship with the club. And in a similar way to other groups in the past, I think B6, was that their predecessor? B6? Project B6. They've been kind of fobbed off by the club a little bit. The club have allowed them to do a bit of dog's body work. Like, oh, you can put the leaflets out on the whole end and, oh, yeah, we'll consider your ideas for TIFOs, but you can help prepare the TIFO, that kind of thing. But to their credit, they've been incredibly patient. And they've been incredibly diligent in building this trust with the club. And their aim eventually, well, it was, and now is kind of coming to pass. They want a section in Villa Park and where basically, if you're a Villa fan and you've got a season ticket and you sit in the Doug Ellis upper and you're surrounded by people who don't want to sing, they sit down. Or if you're like Matt Kendrick and you're stuck in the horrible Trinity Road, as he says, surrounded by these horrible people, I'm just stirring the pot. But, if you want to sing and you're away from people who want to sing, what they want is for you to have the option to go and move somewhere where you do want to sing. The whole end's full. Well, then we'll have somewhere else. And they have been given sections before in a kind of in a not very successful way. So basically, if an away team doesn't take up their allocation in the north, the top of the Doug Ellis. So they've kind of said last minute, oh, you can have a few seats in there, you can have a section. The club haven't backed it and said, hey, everyone, we're doing this thing. So the voice hasn't been there for them. And then a few weeks ago, when Villa were struggling, we were kind of going through the injury crisis, and basically Unai Emery and I think mainly Damien Vidagani thought, what levers can we pull? What can we do? Villa Park is quiet. Now, obviously, there are a million reasons why Villa Park is quiet. Demographic change, hospitality in the whole end. Some people say it's the football. Some people say it's the weather. There's loads of different reasons for it. And they're all valid, to be honest, and they all add up to Villa Park being maybe a little bit too quiet at times. Damien Vidagani and Unai Emery basically said, club, go and do something. Do what you can do to make it better. And the club basically said, where are those 1897 guys? Get them. And what they did was allocate them 50 seats, which I think people were a bit sniffy at first. 50 seats, what's that going to do? It's well,
That's a good impression. So that's on mine.
Yeah. But that's what people's reaction is. It's okay, well, it's better than 0 seats. And now, after a couple of games and a lot of hard work from the 1897, basically singing their guts out for 90 minutes and bringing their flags and doing all of that, they've now been up to 100 seats. And these seats were created.
What's that going to do?
What's the point? Why do anything? And then to Max's credit, which I was really chuffed about, Max, who has a big platform, I think he's got 80,000 YouTube. Max went in.
Is it as many as 80,000 now? No.
It's actually 81. It's 81.
Is it actually? Really? What?
Max got in with them, and I think that's a really good thing for them, because if they struggle with one thing, it's kind of getting their message out and kind of showing people what it's all about. And so Max's video was really good. He got in there, he was in with them, was like, do you know what? This is great. This is brilliant, because I think there can be a bit of snootiness, like all you need to do is kick all the hospitality out of the whole end and that'll fix it. That would help. But
it's not going to happen.
It's nice. It's nice to have something on the other end of the ground. And I think some, Max, you're in Upper Holt, aren't you?
Yes.
When I used to have a season ticket in Upper Holt, I would go to games and I think it was booming today. I was on the back row smashing the thing. It was booming. Wow, the atmosphere was cracking. And I got my match of the day. I watched the highlights or something. It was dead because you're up in the gods. That's why Newcastle stick all their away fans up in the gods. It does carry. It starts everyone else off, but the whole end upper can't do it on its own. The whole end upper and lower can't do it on its own. You need something else. And 1897, long may it continue. I think they're counting on the new North Stand development to maybe give them a slither or something like that, But it's good people doing good things, and they should be supported and applauded.
I absolutely agree, Sam, and sorry for jumping in there, but it's amazing. I've been in conversation with one or two guys from the 1897 group as well. But one of the funny things that I've come across as well is that there are still people on social media and stuff like that go to games that are going, we don't need an ultras element in our club. And I'm like, they couldn't be further away from it. They're just trying to create a bit of a crack. It's not like they're going to be there masked up with their bellies out, ordering the players down to them to talk to them or anything like that. We're not talking about Lazio fans or anything like that. All they want to do is have a song.
My wife was like, what is this group? Because I think she saw their faces blurred or they're in masks and stuff. What are you getting involved with this? Are they going to start
mixing with the wrong crowd?
Like, yeah, you mix with the wrong. They're going to start burning stuff, and then you'll be in the thing. And I said, you know what? If you saw the group chat, you would be very surprised at how undangerous they are. These are guys that are mainly talking about flags.
Max, you've obviously been to lots and lots of football stadiums in England and across Europe now. Something that we often talk about with this, but don't have much experience ourselves to say, well, I went to this game, and obviously John is there, but from a press perspective, it's different. Home atmospheres across the board in England, it's not a Villa Park problem specifically, is it?
Every single ground is like that. Every single ground is like that in the Premier League. Every single week, bar a derby game or a night game that's got something riding on it. Obviously, every ground's going to get up for that. People talk about Palace and that atmosphere. I've been there loads of times. It's okay. Again, it's guys behind the goal trying to do something good. Fair play to them. But it's not great. I just think it's a Premier League thing, and the demographics and the cost of it and stuff like that, it's all going to add up. So it's not just a Villa problem. It's like that absolutely everywhere. And like Sam said, brilliant word, Sam, said exactly how it is. Great people trying to do great things. Just be nice if the club could maybe just the odd retweet or just the odd tweet here or there. It doesn't have to be loads. It doesn't have to be loads at all. Just the odd thing to just give them a little kick, and yeah, fair play to them. If people want to get involved, here's how you do it. Fill in this link. Go and sit with them against Sunderland or West or whatever. Just go and get involved. Trying to do great things, and it's nothing too deep. Just try and have a sing-song and have a good time and make a couple of flags and make it look pretty. They're doing fantastic stuff, and long may it continue.
The one thing I'd add there is, I reckon it was one of your post-matches, you were talking about the cost of fireworks, or John was. Some post-match discussions discussing that.
It's in the office last week.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. But where I was going with that is that I think it's fantastic the club have put in the effort in there, but what I find inauthentic and perhaps not quite where it should be, which is great why the group are now involved, is that we saw the return of the Villa villain the other week, and we've seen some other tifos that the club have orchestrated in the past few months, which is great to see, but I don't think it means half as much as when a group of Villa fans think we want to do that and make that happen. And I think it's reflective in how fans pick up on that and sort of buy into it as well, to a degree as well. So it's fantastic the club has finally gone, actually, no, it's the fans that we need to get behind this. It shouldn't be us that's deciding to put this together. Don't get me wrong, I think the club should be funded, by the way. I don't think that the group should be reliant on donations to make it happen to a degree. I think that the fans are doing enough by making it happen. But I think it's fantastic that the group are getting that back in now, because I love some of the stuff the club's done this season, but it feels slightly inauthentic just because it is the club deciding this is what we're going to do for a tifo this week, or this is what we're going to do with our shiny sparklers this week, sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, it all helps, but I think there's a time and place for it. And at times I actually look at it and go, do you really need fireworks for a 2:30 at home against West Ham? No.
We did speak about the fireworks thing in the episode we did last week, when we were speaking about the ticket prices for the Europa League, and Matt put the argument forward of, hypothetically, Villa have to pay for all this extra fanfare. So if that's an extra £5 on your ticket, would you rather pay that £5 and get the fanfare, or save a bit of cash and Villa do nothing? Which I thought was actually an interesting debate.
No fanfare.
You'd save the £5 now.
I'd save the £5 and I'd play good music.
Okay. We had a comment off the back of that in the mailbag from an anonymous taxman who said, just listening to you talk about discretionary expenditure, such as fireworks, caught my attention. I'm involved with the finances of a few Premier League football clubs that have been told that the firework displays before matches cost around £12,000 per game. Of course, that cost will add up throughout the season, but it's not likely to be something that they need to significantly increase the prices of tickets for to cover it. Love the podcast, Up the Villa. £12,000 for fireworks? Does that sound about right?
Who is impressed by those fireworks?
Kids.
I'm
social media videos.
I am actually a little bit impressed.
I don't mind them, to be honest.
And I don't like fireworks displays normally. Like if someone said, "Do you want to go watch the fireworks?" I go, "Not really," but I don't mind.
I think the night games. Yeah, you're right, Matt. They did it for West Ham, and it was a bit like, "Barely see him. It's still daylight." The night games is different.
Maybe. Yeah. I'd much prefer if they paid £12,000. They got Hercules and Bella properly back all the time. Pay two mascots £12,000 instead of paying £12,000 a match. Like, that's how you get fans involved, and then do a social media campaign around Hercules and Bella. That's how you get fans. That's how you get kids involved. I don't know.
I can't even see the fireworks. I'm absolutely devastated. I can't even see them. I watch Dan Bardell sits row 5 of the whole end, and he can see them. Sweet. I can't see them. I'm row 24. And
you should get a discount, shouldn't you? You should get a $5
watching these fireworks. Payloads. It's nonsense. So when I was down in the lower north with 1897 against Leeds, I was buzzing, man. I was like a little kid. I was buzzing. But yeah, I would sacrifice them, obviously, and build the atmosphere with my lungs, not some.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Way more intimidating. Like, it's not intimidating for.
Yeah, I don't think it's intimidating. But, I mean, it's not for this, but a lot of the good pictures of Villa Park, like the general views, the ones with the fireworks over the top and all the smoke that comes off them as well. That does look good on pictures. Looks a bit intimidating.
We laugh, but that's probably part of the reason probably why they're doing it. Because you look at
it's good for pictures online.
Photos and videos they've done for Bologna involves a lot of fireworks. Ironically,
they'll be on like the season ticket email or whatever. We'll have fireworks and a picture over the top and all the flares and everything. Yeah.
Do you know what will be much more intimidating and stuff like that is the whole stadium goes dark and just Claret on the Villa team and blue and something like that, like light shows because the bloody lights there already all over the place. Like I think there has to be cheaper ways. And look, I know it's not an awful lot, and I'm really hammering this point when you probably didn't even want to go in it. But I don't see it. I'm so desensitized to fireworks; they're just not my thing. Like I'd much prefer if they turned everything off and everybody in the crowd just sung their guts out for the 5 minutes before the game.
But
that's intimidating.
But I think we know that wouldn't happen. There's a risk that it would just be silent or quiet, and then you've got no atmosphere and no fake fanfare.
There was a really good article in the New Statesman the other day. Obviously, I'm a big reader of the New Statesman by Joey D'Urso, who someone told me he's a Villa fan, and he did a great article about tourism in football. I would recommend reading it. And it was kind of giving the example of, those what's that town? Is it in Spain or Italy, where basically it's a beautiful town, but it's full of Instagrammers queuing up to take a picture of the beautiful town. And if you go to a major city and you're there to see the major city, but it's just full of like shops selling tat and there's like Americans everywhere, and you think, oh, this isn't really what I was looking for. And obviously I'm a tourist, I am the traffic, but and he was kind of making that point. Obviously, as Max said, it's a problem with all Premier League grounds. I know Liverpool, it's a huge issue for Liverpool because it's such a tourism spot. I think Man United as well. The Premier League and Villa, the part of their product is the atmosphere. And if the whole end is full of tourists, then
they want
the whole end anymore, is it? It's not the whole end anymore. And I thought it was a really good point that was made about the tourism and how the Premier League is a TV show. Oh, have you watched that TV show, the Premier League? Oh, it's really good. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And maybe we should go. We could be on it. So they've got fireworks and everything. So
shout out to Joey D'Urso, who is a Villa fan, by the way, and has been in my DMs for a while trying to organise a podcast with Rob Warner, because he wrote a book, Joey did, about kits, and he wants to come on and do a podcast. And I've got an unread DM from Joey. So Joey, if you're listening, I will get back to you and we will organise that maybe in the summer. This isn't atmosphere specifically, but you talk about like the build-up and the fanfare that comes with certainly the big games. I'll never forget or forgive that PSG one to play the Europa League anthem.
Terrible.
That honestly, that ruined that for me.
The players were laughing.
We spoke about it on the post-match a bit, and I didn't want to labour the point too much because the game ended up being good and it was so close to doing something historic. That was such an embarrassment, such an anti-climax. I was waiting. I was like, this might be the last time we hear the Champions League music. Like, full stop, by the way. But at least for maybe another year, and that's turned out to be the case. Might be 2 years, who knows? They got it wrong in the biggest occasion. Oh, I'll never forget that. How that happened is mad.
I'd love to know how that actually happened though. Because if you forget to play it full stop and it's just silent, like, I can kind of understand that. But to play the Europa League one, is it just on someone's playlist? And
I would imagine, 100%. It's just somebody has in there's Europe pre-match.
Yeah.
That's what
You've got two songs.
Terrible. Pre-match Europe 1, pre-match Europe 2. Which one is
literally.
it? 100%. That's what's happened. Like,
I'll never get over that, honestly. What an anticlimax. Right, I'm going to call a wrap on this edition of the Villa Social. We've been recording for over an hour. This episode should be out on Friday, so for those that are listening on the day it comes out, then enjoy your Easter weekend and your bank holidays. We'll be back next week with a Q&A. Me and John Townley are going to meet up and go out and about and start our build-up to Bologna. Football is back. I'm sure you're all absolutely buzzing. Back soon. We can talk about Aston Villa playing and hopefully winning matches for the rest of the season. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Thank you very much to Matt Lynch, Max Stokes, Sam and Neil for your half an appearance. Neil, I'll give you half an appearance fee for that in the post. You all enjoy it? All good?
Yeah, great.
Crack? Yeah, good fun.
Yeah, that sounded like you said crap, Max.
Sorry. Maybe I did.